Alright, so it's Friday evening here at the workbench. Let the clear gas out for a couple of days before I started wet sanding. I could leave it as it is because it looks pretty sharp, but I like to polish out the kits. Wanted to point out something. If you're building this AMT 70.5 Camaro, again, this is the box art. Pretty sweet kit, but it's a lot of flash, some sink marks. One I didn't catch until I had already painted. I didn't even see it in the primer spot, but probably right there in the middle, you may be able to see it through that shine. But there's a sink mark which is directly below the dome light. Now I'll be painting the interior black, but I didn't catch this until after I painted it. I'm not going to worry about it. Joe Mendoza over at Iceman had the same thing happen with his. He's building one of these up, kind of like a pro touring style. That's how I'm actually going to build my second kit, but this one's just a relatively quick box stock build. Get it up on a shelf. And yeah, if you're building this kit, just, you know, keep that in mind. The decals did cover up my goof, where you can probably still see it under the hood right there, but the decals did cover it up, so that's good. But anyhow, I'm gonna go on ahead and sand this with some warm water, soapy water, and Micromesh polishing cloths. I've got 3200 all the way up to 12,000. You want to get into a really good shine, you can do that. Now, you can get these Micromesh cloths at your local hobby store, get them on the web through like Amazon or any of your good hobby stores. About ready to go get another set because I've had these for about 4 or 5 years. I also have sanding pads from 1800 to 4000 grit. I will probably start with the 2400 grit sanding pad, and then I'll move to the 3200 pad and 4000. I'll bypass the polishing cloths, and really it's just a matter of dropping it in the water, warm soapy water, keep a nice clean towel on hand, and just sand it lightly. Even with something like 2400 grit, you could easily burn through the clear, get to the paint, and then to your primer, and then you're probably going to curse yourself and start stripping the paint and doing it all over again. Just basically nice light passes. Let the sanding pad work for you, and I'll just do this for a little bit and then cut for time to show you when I get to the end result that I'm looking for and the next step. But that's basically it right there. The other thing too is periodically rinse off your sanding pad or cloth. Otherwise you've got grit on top of that. Now I'm going to see if we can see this through the camera. If you see here, there's already some of the orange peel of the clear coat has been knocked down, and that's the goal. You ultimately want to get it to be a nice smooth sheen, and then you start building it back up. So I'm going to go on ahead and turn the camera off, go on ahead and crank up the tunes, do some sanding, and then each cloth I will show you what it looks like afterwards. So I'll be back. Okay, so after one pass with the 2400, as you can see here, that sink mark definitely pops up. I have a couple other areas just to touch up on. One little spot right here, still to touch up on the right side lower door panel where I had a little fleck of dust. Go through this one more pass, and then I'm going to hit the 3200 grit. So now this is with the 3200 grit cloth. Actually, the pad still. As you can see, got a nice, more even sheen. I got the little speck of dust off the right door panel. It's looking pretty good. Again, some areas I just need to make sure I'm hitting right. And wherever you, if you see burn through on your first pass, be very careful about going over that with subsequent passes, because you know If you have one little chunk, all it's going to take is for you to sand over it, and it's going to become a big chunk. Go to the 4000 grit sanding pad. I'll pop that in water, let it soak for a moment, and then back to sanding. Okay, it's just real quick here. This is with the 4000 grit sanding pad, and as you can see, the sheen is actually starting to be a little less flat and a little bit more glossy. Got more of this done, and don't worry about getting stuff into like the door panel lines and whatnot. You can, in fact I will once this is all done, give it a good wash, and then I've got a soft bristle toothbrush that I use to get to little nooks and crannies. So I'm going to go on ahead and get right back into it. I'm left with now 6000, 8000, and 12,000 grit sanding cloths. So you'll see real good change from 6 to 8, and then especially from 8 to 12, and then finally when we polish it out with car wax. So stay tuned. So as you can see, with the 6000 grit, definitely a big change. Starting to see a little bit of a shine all around. It's been pretty good. Got just a couple spots that I know I need to touch up, but it's starting to look sharp, including on the hood too. So looking good. Okay, as you can see here with 8000, definitely starting to get a good shine. I have a couple spots where I do have some burn through, but again, if you see those, just kind of sand close to them but not on top of them, and then just touch them up with the same paint later. It's looking pretty sharp. Notice there's some sink marks towards the top there. Didn't catch that when it was initially sanded and primed and painted, but you know, happens. So on with the last bit of sanding and then polishing. Okay, so got the sanding stuff all done for the most part, and I'm happy with the results. Ultimately, as you can see, definitely got a good little shine to it for the most part. And again, this is one that's just going to go up on the shelf. This is, again, 4 coats of, where's my clip? 4 coats of TS13 Tamiya Clear. So, might not be the shiniest, but for this kit, it's going to do just fine. I think next year, I'm going to give a shot of using MCW paints and some 2K clear through the airbrush. I'm going to finally break it in and get that used. So I bet it'll have a clear color. I mean, I've looked at other people's channels. The gentleman with Scale Model channel, his really cool, using 2K clear. And one thing too about the preparation, your body prep is key. Definitely sand off your imperfections, fill your mold lines, sand your mold lines, fill your divots like that. Then prime it, see what you missed. Maybe like a different color guide coat, like primer black over the gray, and sand that down. And then reprime it, check again for any inconsistencies or errors before you put your color coats on. The better your primer coats, the better your body work before you actually lay down color, the glossier or the better your paint color is going to be in the end, and the less sanding most likely you'll have to do. I mean, you still probably have to do some wet sanding, color sanding. That's nothing you can escape, but you know, it's just something to work with. What I'm going to do to polish this out is I'm going to use some Novus number 2. This bottle, I've had all 3 for about 10 years now, and I still have plenty left, so I can kind of shake it up. And then I'm going to go one little section at a time. I'll kind of rub that in really well. I've got terry cloths, and I also have old socks that I use. I'll put the terry cloth for cleaning it off, the old socks for rubbing it in. So I'm going to get with that. I'll be back with you with the final result. Okay, so about 5 to 10 minutes worth of the Novus number 2 fine scratch remover. I got this polished out, looking pretty sharp. You can see the gloss through it. This is without using any kind of wax or car wax yet. I do use Meguiar's. Well, here, Meguiar's Quik wax. Goes on nice. Like to let it dry out a little bit before I polish it out, and then it really makes this pop. Once that's done, I'll give it a quick wash. Make sure that I have all the crud out of the panel lines. I have maybe 2 or 3 areas just to touch up. Right here at the fender, where the top of the fender or the edge of the fender meets the hood. When you have the hood in place, you can see it. It kind of stands out a little, but I see it, so I will correct that. And again, very front left fender. Right here, along the wheel lip molding. I think I saw one more spot, but ultimately I like it. It turned out really well. Yeah, right there, just a little bit of bleed through. And I think even your best modeler builders are going to say they've had burn through on theirs when they polish out the kit. It just takes time, and you still will have that, and you just touch it up. But yeah, I like what I see so far on this, and I'm just going to keep at it. Hopefully this weekend I'll have the kit mostly done and ready to display and then put up on the shelf so I can get a couple more going. With that, I'm going to go ahead and go for the night. Hope you're having a great week. Like I said, we are freezing here in Iowa, and I'm sure elsewhere people are freezing. For my friends that watch this back home in North Carolina where I grew up, it's -8, guys. And yeah, it's cold, but you know what? It is what it is, and you know what? We're okay with that. With that, have a great weekend. Whatever you do this holiday season, please be safe. If you're driving, be safe at that. Get your destination safe and sound. Spend time with your loved ones, and we'll catch you on the next video.